It began with a scream that shattered the stillness of an ordinary suburban evening, a sound so raw and terrified that neighbors rushed to their windows in disbelief. For years afterward, people who lived on that quiet street would say they never forgot that moment. The way the air seemed to freeze, the way hearts dropped as police cars came roaring in, sirens cutting through the night. That scream marked the unraveling of a story that had been carefully hidden beneath layers of appearances, smiles at Sunday barbecues, polite waves on the driveway, and Christmas cards exchanged with cheerful handwriting. It was the sound of secrets tearing themselves open, of lives that would never return to the way they once were. At the center of it all was Jennifer Gledhill, a woman whose journey from bright beginnings to tragic endings still echoes with lessons about love, betrayal, and the fragile lines between passion and destruction. Jennifer grew up in a small town where everyone knew her by name. She was the kind of person others described as luminous. Her laugh carried across rooms, her energy lifted those around her, and she carried dreams that seemed too big for her modest upbringing. Friends recalled that she was the one who believed in everyone's potential, the girl who stayed after school to help classmates with their homework, the young woman who promised herself that her life would be filled with meaning, not just routine. It wasn't surprising when she fell in love young and started a family. Jennifer wanted roots. She wanted to create a home where warmth and security radiated through every corner. On the surface, she had done just that. A husband who worked hard, children who adored her, a home that looked like stability. But life has a way of weaving shadows behind the brightest lights. Over time, Jennifer began to feel a quiet emptiness settle into her chest. The days became predictable. Her marriage, though steady, felt distant. She wanted more. More passion, more connection, more validation that she was still the woman who had once dreamed boldly. It was during this vulnerable stretch that she met someone new, someone who made her feel alive again, someone who reminded her of the younger version of herself she thought she had lost. His name was Mark, and he came into her life with a charm that was intoxicating. At first, it was casual conversations, laughter shared over mutual frustrations with work and life, but soon it became clear that this was more than friendship. The secret affair began quietly, hidden glances and hurried text messages, stolen hours that felt like oxygen to a suffocating flame. Jennifer knew it was dangerous, knew the risks, but she also knew she felt seen in a way she hadn't in years. The affair, however, was not a harmless escape. Mark was not the fantasy figure she believed him to be. Beneath his charisma lived a man who carried possessiveness like a second skin, who fed off Jennifer's vulnerability but gave little of his own truth in return. In the beginning, it was thrilling, the stolen moments, the whispered promises, but soon the cracks began to show. Mark grew demanding, jealous, insistent on more of Jennifer's time, more of her energy, more sacrifices. What began as a refuge quickly turned into another form of imprisonment. Jennifer felt torn between her role as a mother, her marriage that still bound her, and this relentless pull toward a man who made her feel alive yet trapped at the same time. The pressure mounted quietly, and the weight of those hidden choices pressed down harder with each passing week. Those close to Jennifer noticed subtle changes. Her smile no longer carried the same lightness, her conversations became guarded. Friends would later say they wished they had asked more questions, wished they had seen the signs of struggle beneath her carefully managed exterior. But Jennifer, like so many caught in webs of secrecy, believed she could balance it all, believed she could manage the affair, keep her family safe, and avoid the looming consequences. What she didn't realize was that Mark's darkness was deepening, and soon it would consume them both. He became controlling, wanting assurances that she would leave her marriage, pressing her to make choices she wasn't ready to make. When she hesitated, when she pulled back, his frustration escalated into anger, and his anger into something far more dangerous. The night of the murder unfolded like a nightmare Jennifer could not escape. She had tried to end things with Mark, tried to reclaim her sense of stability, but Mark wasn't willing to let go. What began as a heated argument escalated beyond control. Neighbors would later testify to hearing raised voices, the sound of objects breaking, and then, finally, that scream that seemed to pierce the entire block. By the time police arrived, Jennifer was gone, her life extinguished in a moment of violence that stripped away every possibility of healing, every chance of redemption. Her children lost a mother, her community lost a woman who had once been the embodiment of hope, and the world gained yet another story of how love twisted into possession can turn lethal. The trial that followed was a whirlwind of revelations and heartbreak. The affair, once a secret, was laid bare for all to see, dissected in headlines and courtrooms. Jennifer, who had once been known for her kindness and vitality, was suddenly defined by her choices, reduced to a narrative of scandal and tragedy. It was easy for outsiders to judge, to cast her as reckless, to overlook the deeper truths of loneliness, vulnerability, and the human need to feel valued. But those who truly knew Jennifer understood that she had been searching for something we all long for: connection, affirmation, love. The tragedy lay not in her yearning, but in how it was exploited, how it led her into the path of someone who could not love her without destroying her. For her family, the challenges were immense. They faced the public scrutiny, the whispers in grocery store aisles, the endless questions about how such a thing could happen in their seemingly normal lives. Her children struggled with anger, confusion, and grief, grappling with the complexity of loving a mother whose choices had unintended consequences, yet never doubting that she had loved them fiercely. Her husband, betrayed yet broken, was left to rebuild not just his life but the lives of his children, carrying the unbearable weight of explaining how love can sometimes twist into tragedy. The community too was left shaken, forced to confront the uncomfortable reality that violence does not only live in distant headlines but can grow quietly behind closed doors, in homes that appear just like theirs. Yet, amidst the devastation, something remarkable began to emerge. Jennifer's story became more than a crime. It became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the importance of listening, of reaching out, of noticing when someone you love begins to dim. Advocacy groups began using her case as an example in workshops about domestic violence and the dangers of hidden abuse, not just in marriages but in affairs that carry their own kind of secrecy and risk. Her family, though fractured, chose not to let her memory be defined only by her ending. They spoke about her laughter, her compassion, her endless desire to lift others. They reminded the world that Jennifer was more than the worst mistake she made, more than the victim she became. She was a human being who deserved compassion and who, even in her struggles, had something to teach. The inspiring message of Jennifer's story lies not in the crime itself but in what we can learn from it. It is a reminder that the search for love and connection is universal, but it must be rooted in respect and safety, not secrecy and control. It is a call to pay attention, to the friends who grow quieter, to the loved ones whose smiles no longer reach their eyes, to the stories that don't add up. It challenges us to replace judgment with empathy, to understand that behind every headline is a person with hopes and flaws, someone whose choices may not be perfect but whose humanity deserves recognition. Jennifer's life reminds us that it is never too late to reach for help, never too late to step away from a situation that threatens to consume you, never too late to reclaim your own light. Her story also reminds us of resilience. Her children, though forever marked by tragedy, grew stronger in the face of unimaginable loss. They pursued lives that honored their mother's memory, carrying forward her compassion, her laughter, her dreams. They learned that while grief never fully leaves, it can shape you into someone who cherishes every moment, someone who refuses to let fear or pain define their future. Her community, too, began to heal, though scars remained. They came together in vigils, in conversations, in acts of solidarity that proved even in the darkest times, humanity has the power to rise. As the years passed, Jennifer's name no longer appeared in daily headlines, but in living rooms and classrooms, her story continues to be told. Not as mere entertainment for true crime audiences, but as a powerful testament to the complexity of human choices, the dangers of unchecked obsession, and the enduring strength of love in the face of loss. From the secret affair to the devastating murder, Jennifer's case leaves us with one undeniable truth. Life is fragile, choices matter, and the most dangerous secrets are the ones we believe we can keep hidden forever. And so, when we think of Jennifer Gledhill, we are left not just with the pain of her ending, but with the inspiration of her beginnings. The laughter that filled rooms, the compassion that touched lives, the reminder that even when tragedy strikes, the legacy of love can never truly be extinguished.